Today's video will be on 13.6, the law of cosines, and we're going to start with some geometry review because we're going to need this for our law of cosines. When we look at our first triangle, we think to ourselves, how can I solve for that missing side? Because I have that right angle and I have two sides, I can use Pythagorean Theorem. Pythagorean Theorem says side squared plus side squared is equal to my hypotenuse squared. I move that squared over, and we get that x squared is going to be equal to 28. We square root. We have to break that down. And that's 7 and 4, 2 and 2. Pair of 7, the 2 left over. So we get that our missing side is 2 square root 7. When we go to our next triangle, we have sides x, 4, and 7. Once again, we want to find that missing side. This time we cannot find that missing side using Pythagorean Theorem because I don't have a right angle. Our trig and our right angle, all of our theorems are based upon having that right angle for the Pythagorean Theorem. So this one, we don't know how to solve just yet. That's what we're going to learn how to do today. So what do we do if there's no right angle? Again, we have a little bit more geometry review. Let's say I have an angle that's 40. And this angle, or this side, is 5, and let's say that this side is 6. We want to find our missing side right here. We look at what we're given, not what we're looking for. We have a side, then an angle, then a side. So hopefully you remember all of those different theorems in which you use to prove triangles congruent. We have side, then an angle, then a side, so this is a side angle side. If I have 6, 7, 8, we have side, side, side. So we do need to remember the relationship in where the sides and the angles that we're given are located. So for law of cosines, we need one of these two. So either side and then immediately the included angle between another side, or we need all three sides, side, 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 in order to use our law of cosines. Let's look to see what our actual law of cosines is. If you remember from our last video, if I have angle A, B, and C, across from angle A is side A, across from angle B is side B, across from angle C is side C. Our law of cosines is relating these three sides and these three angles together. There are going to be three different versions of the law of cosines. So the first one is a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc, and then cosine of angle A. Our next one is b squared equals a squared plus c squared minus 2 times a times c times the cosine of b. And our third one is c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine of c. Now let's look to see at these three different variations. They're very, very similar. Hopefully you see some relationships. We have it set equal to a squared. If I'm setting it equal to a squared, I'm taking the cosine of that angle A. It's set equal to b squared, so I have cosine of b. Set equal to c squared, so it's cosine of c. We have three sides, so if it's set equal to a squared, it's the other two sides squared. So b squared and c squared. Set equal to b, so we square a and c. Set equal to c, so we square a and b. Then we look at the 2bc. If this is b and c, this is b and c. If this is a and c, that's a and c, a and b, a and b. So there is a relationship. They're all different, but they all follow that same pattern. Depending on what you're given to start with will determine which one you have to use. So we flip on over to the back side. We want to solve the triangle, and if you remember from yesterday, solving the triangle has 6 pieces. We have a side A, a side B, a side C. And we have an angle A, an angle B, and an angle C. When we look at our diagram, things aren't labeled, so I'm going to go ahead and label this. So we have A, B, and C. Given that, that means that this is side A, this is side B, and this is side C. So the information that we are given that side A is 12, we are given that side C is 16, and we are given that angle B is 38. When we look to see how those are related, we have side, angle, side. And we need side, angle, side for our law of cosines. We will always be given 3 pieces of information, and we have to solve for the remaining 3. So what we're looking to solve are these 3 pieces of information. Now we look at what we're given, and what I'm going to solve for first is my side B, because I have side A and I have side C. So I'm going to go ahead and solve for side B first. And if I'm solving for B, I'm going to use the one that is set equal to B squared. So I'm going to have B squared equals A squared plus C squared minus 2 times AC cosine of B. And I used B again because that was the only one that I had the angle for. So I fill in what I know. I don't know my B squared, but I know my A is 12. I know my C is 16. And we've got cosine of our angle B, which is 38. I have no unknowns there. So at this point, I'm going to go to my calculator, and I'm going to go ahead and enter things in. So if you don't have it out yet, go ahead and press pause and get out your calculator. After this step, we can kind of be flexible in how much work you're going to show. You could go from here. 12 squared is 144. 16 squared is 256. 2 times 12 times 16 is 384. Cosine of angle 38. 144 plus 256. We can go ahead and enter all of this into our calculator, making sure that our calculator is in degree mode, since we are taking the angle or the cosine of a degree measurement, minus 384 cosine of 38. And this is telling us that our B squared is about 97.404. Now, you're not actually going to take that number. You're not going to round into the very end. I'm just writing this down so that you can see where the number is coming from. We have to square root that. So I square root both sides. Second x squared gives us the square root of our second answer. Again, we're not going to use 97.404. We're going to have that entire number that was stored in there. So our side length here is about 9.87. Sometimes you round to the nearest tenth, sometimes you round to the nearest hundredth. So just pay attention to your directions. So we got B is 9.87. That's 1 piece down, 2 pieces to go. We can go ahead, let's just solve for A because A comes before C. Now if I want to solve for angle A, when I look back at my 3 variations, the only equation that has angle A in it is the first one. So we want to use that one. That's the only one that we can use. So that gives us A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of A. Our A we know, so we've got 12 squared is equal to our B squared. Now we don't like to use rounded answers, but in this case we're going to have to. So we're going to use the value that we already found, plus our C squared minus 2 times 9.87 times 16, and that's cosine of angle A. We have our 12 squared, that's 144, and we have 9.87 squared. We're going to write that entire number down. So 97.4169. Since that's already a rounded answer, we don't want to lose any more of those numbers. Plus 256 minus, when we multiply that all out, we get 2 times 9.87 times 16, 315.84 cosine of our angle A. we can add like terms together. So we've got 144 is equal to a negative, nope, sorry, I lied, a positive 353.4169 minus 315.84 cosine of A. What we're trying to get to is this cosine of A. So that's my variable, that's my unknown. I want to get that by itself. I still have to follow the order of operations. So I subtract from both sides. And remember, it is always important that you are doing these calculations along in your calculator. When I subtract each of those, I get a negative 209.4169 is equal to a negative 315.84 cosine of angle A. I am multiplying those two things together, so to undo it, I have to divide. And when I divide that in my calculator, 209.4169 divided by negative 315.84. I hit enter. Again, I am not going to round that. I'm going to use that stored value. I'm going to write down the rounded answer here, just so you know what our calculator says. But I'm not going to actually use that. We are solving for our angle measure. If I'm solving for my angle measure, I have to use inverse cosine of that ratio. So we do second cosine. We want that entire thing that was stored, so second that negative sign to get that answer. Hit enter. We want to do our degrees, minutes, seconds that we learned yesterday. So we have that answer. We go to second apps, which brings us to our angles. Number 4, we want to take that stored answer and we went degrees, minutes, seconds. And we find that angle A is equal to 48 degrees and 28 minutes. 2 seconds is not even close to halfway, so we don't round up. Go ahead and fill that in, 48 degrees and 28 minutes. I know it's a lot. We have one more angle left. The only law of cosine that has angle C is our third one. Hopefully you are sitting there thinking, but we don't need to do all of that work. We have a triangle, and we know that in a triangle, all 3 angles always add up to 180, and we have 2 of our 3 angles. So for angle C, we can take 180 minus 48 degrees and 28 minutes minus 38. So we go to our calculator, remind where those buttons are from yesterday, 180 minus 48, second apps for the angle, degrees, 28 minutes. Oops, I forgot to subtract out our 38 as well. Now we have to turn that into degrees, minutes, seconds, so second angle again. Number 4, and we get that angle C is 93 degrees and 32 minutes. As you are doing your homework and your questions and your quiz and test, I always want to see this block of 6 pieces of information, your 3 sides and your 3 angles. And then I want to see the 3 pieces that we were solving for. Okay, we only did 1. We have 1 more left to do. I know you're super excited about that. So we want to solve a triangle. I didn't give you a diagram this time. We always just draw the same triangle. We never assume anything by this diagram. We could have obtuse angles or acute angles. We just draw a triangle. So A, B, C. We are given that side A, because it's a little a, is 25. We're given side B is 11, and we're given side C is 24. When I look at that, I see that I'm given side, 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 which is one of our options for law of cosines. So we set up our information. We have side A, side B, side C. Angle A angle B, and angle C. When we look at what we're given, we are missing our 3 angles, and we are given our 3 sides. Side A is 25, 11, and 24. So these are the 3 pieces that I'm looking for. It does not matter which one we start with. I'm just going to start with A because it's the first one. So we have to use our A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of angle A, because that's the only equation that has angle A in it. We have that our side A is 25, B is 11, and C is 24. So we fill in that given information. When we're solving for a side, it's kind of nice because we can just enter everything into our calculator. We can't do that as easily when we are solving for the angles. So we have got our 25 squared, which is 625, 121, 576, 2 times 11 times 24 is going to give us 528 cosine of A. The one nice thing is that we don't have decimals like we did in the last problem. We combine those two like terms. So we've got 625 is equal to 697 minus 528 cosine of A. We subtract over that 697, we end up with the negative 72. We divide. So we have cosine of A is equal to, let's see if this turns out nicely, negative 72 divided by negative 528. Not really. So I'm going to keep that as a fraction. I know my negatives cancel, making it positive. And I know this would reduce down, but it doesn't really make a difference. We are solving for an angle, so I want the inverse cosine of that fraction. So I do inverse cosine of that whole answer. My decimal's already stored in there from dividing. We have our degrees, but we want to turn it into degrees minutes. So we go to second apps, which is our angle, number 4, and we get that angle A is equal to 82 degrees. We have 9 minutes. 45 is more than halfway. Remember, there are 60 seconds in a minute, so that's going to go up to 10 minutes. So we have 82 degrees in 10 minutes. We need to go ahead and solve for B. So if I'm solving for B, I'm using the B squared is equal to A squared plus C squared minus 2AC cosine of B. We fill in what we know. 11 squared is equal to 25 squared plus 24 squared minus 2 times 25 times 24 cosine of our unknown angle B. Alright, so now I want you to do the hard part on your own. Go ahead and press pause. Go ahead and go through this. Don't round into the very end and see if you can correctly come up with angles B and C. Alright, let's see how you did. Make sure that you are showing all of your work. This is one of those areas that you can't skip steps. You must show me all of these lines of work. I got 25 degrees, 51 minutes for my answer for angle B. If you did not get that, go back through every line of my work and see where you went wrong. See where your mistake came from. And then for angle C, thankfully, I didn't have to go through that whole long process again. All I had to do was subtract angle A and angle B away from 180 in my calculator. And I got 71 degrees and 59 minutes. Again, another long video, and I know they get long, but these are very, very complicated aspects, the law of cosine, which we did today, and law of sine. So you've got to make sure that you really are taking really good notes and actually going to your calculator and pressing all of the buttons yourself. All right, and that's all.